Doreen Granpeesheh is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen.
I'm very sorry to see what they've written in. They said, my family hates me for my autism and exploited me for my autism and badmouth me. My nephew is 6 and has autism and they treat him bad for it. I just have to acknowledge, what you're saying. And I want to hear from Dr. Granpeesheh, but I am sorry to hear that. There are no other words, but I just want to tell you that obviously you're an amazing person. You're a creative person, because anybody who would name themselves that on social media, I want to be friends with. You know what I'm saying? And if and sometimes our family of origin doesn't get us. I don't understand why that is, but I know that there is a big community of people out there who would want to get to know you and would appreciate you for who you are. And I hope that someday your family does. But Dr. Granpeesheh, you're so much better at this. Help us.
No, not at all, Shannon. It's, I gotta say, now that I'm on social media, I never, before I retired from running CARD, I never really had the time. And now that I'm kind of on social media and I'm trying to continue to help people through these resources, like our show, of course, and through my TikTok and stuff, I've started to read a lot of comments that are on social media, and I have two feelings about it. One is that a lot of more people are coming to realize that they have symptoms of autism, whereas probably 10 years ago, it wasn't the case. I think a lot more people are starting to feel like, hey, this is me. Like, these are the issues I have. And I've had a very, very tough life because no one understood this before. So there's a lot of that. But there's also a lot of, now that higher functioning individuals on the spectrum are becoming vocal, such as the person who wrote in, we're seeing that there's a lot of pain that they have experienced due to being treated in a way that they didn't want to be treated. And I want to just kind of explain that I think a lot of people, neurotypical people, don't know how to react or treat or behave around an individual who is different in any way. And they feel self-conscious, and they feel confused, and they don't know how to react. And so sometimes the way they react, they kind of shut you out because they don't know how to interact with someone who's different. And a lot of times it's not intentional. I want to say that because I've seen this with a lot of my friends. They feel uncomfortable and they don't know how to interact with someone whose response will be a little different than what they expect. So I don't want to necessarily think that people are all evil and intentionally doing things to hurt those of us who are not neurotypical. I think they just don't know. And they don't know they don't know that it's okay to be just different. They don't know that it's okay to not respond. They don't know that, they shouldn't get too close because they might bother you. They don't know what they don't know. And so we can't blame them. We have to continue to educate people and explain to people that, listen, I am totally fine interacting with you, but I don't want to go to a noisy place. Or, hey, listen, you're getting a little too close and it's disturbing me. Or, what you just did there makes me feel like you're mocking me. We don't know these things. And we just have to teach them and educate them. And then over time, I promise you, this will get better. Because if I would have never guessed 20 years ago, I would have never guessed that there would be so many individuals with autism who are now vocal about it and have a voice and are able to change society. Like Shannon, you and I were talking once about, the fact that now when there's, let's say, a TV series, instead of putting on someone who doesn't have autism, a lot of the shows are starting to hire actually autistic actors, which is fantastic. And that's a huge progress from, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. That would have never happened. So society is progressing. So as I said, last year I did a big training for Oracle, which is a huge company, because their interest was in learning how to modify their environment at work for those who are on the spectrum to be happier. So things are changing. The general world is starting to learn more, but, and I'm so sorry that you feel like you've been hurt. It just comes from not knowing. It comes from a place of just not knowing, I think, in most cases.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Gareth has said they don't slow down their brain to understand sometimes, and because we are literally thinking, we need people to listen more. It's time to stand tall and be who we are. And I think that a lot of people in the autism community are seeing that and taking advantage of it. And I think it was always happening, but I think it's just that you have more numbers now. But it takes everybody listening. And listen, I always say that my job right now, there were a lot of years when my son wasn't able to advocate for himself. So I was his advocate.
Yeah.
And now that he advocates for himself, my job is to be a student and an ally. And I always say, I want to be a student and I want to sit in the front row of the classroom. I don't know everything and I want to learn. And I think that I'm not going to get it right all the time. And I love my dear friend, Alex Blank, who, whenever I'm around him, he will correct me like 13 times an evening and I'll say something, he'll go, well, Shannon, that was very ableist. And I go, it was? But I try to be in a place of saying, oh, okay, well, then maybe I didn't get that right. Teach me so I can learn better for next time. And I think we all need to get in that space and stop being so precious and defensive. It's hard because you don't ever want to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong. But sometimes I need to admit that I'm wrong so that I can be in a place to learn. We're moving. We're getting in a direction. But we will get there. I got to switch to some of these questions that came in over the weekend.
If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.